That wasn't the same brew pub you and Dustin went to.
It was called Gella's Diner and Liquid Bread Brewing.
Okay, no. We were at a place called Center Pivot.
And Center
we
Pivot was your stop.
That way, though. So we stopped there for lunch, and we were the only ones not wearing overalls without a shirt.
Yeah, you're in Western Kansas there. That's a different world.
Everybody, welcome out to the Logroom Guys Craft Beer Show. It is Tuesday, December the 5th, 2023. Jersey Johnny coming at you. With me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai. Say hello, Mr. Samurai.
It's not Mr. Beer Samurai. I work for a living. It's just Beer Samurai.
It's pain in the ass Beer Samurai.
Yes. Well, happy Repeal Day, John.
Happy Repeal Day, Dave. How are you?
Good. And I really didn't mean to you took our things off.
Well, I didn't take it. When you put the banner up.
I didn't put that up.
I put it up. When I put it up, it takes the other things off.
Take it off for a second. So people, I didn't really mean to upstage you with adding more exclamation marks.
Well, you would have got 5 there.
I think it's 5. I didn't count.
All right. Well, I'll have to fix that then. Hold on one second.
Throw a few more up there.
I'm gonna.
We actually do not see what the other puts up until we're both on, and we put the same thing. I just went.
Is that better?
There you go.
Now I got you beat. There you go.
Yeah. Now you've got me beat. Good for you. Way to go. You feel
anyway,
better now?
Happy Repeal Day. This is the first time on this show that during the show, the day of the show, it is Repeal Day.
Yes.
This is four repeal days we've been doing this show. It's the first one that's actually fallen on the day of the show,
which is awesome.
Yes, this is awesome. And this coming up this Sunday, we're going to do our annual live feed from a brewery, for National Lager Day.
Yes.
But next year it's going to be on a Tuesday, so Lager Day will actually be on the day of our show next year, so that's cool. So anyway,
or actually, our show will be on Lager Day.
Well, no.
Lager Day has been around longer, has it not?
Well, it has, but Lager Day moves. Our show doesn't, so Lager Day will be on our show, even though it's been around longer.
I still disagree.
Yeah, right. Whatever. Doesn't matter. Anyway,
it doesn't matter. It's Repeal Day, and what do we do on Repeal Day?
We drink beer.
We drink beer.
Happy Repeal Day. We have the graphics for it.
We got a graphics for it?
Posted before it, yes.
Prohibition
ends at last, December 5th, 1933. Okay. And this one was good too. I put this one up as well. Happy days are beer again. Globe Sign Company.
Like that car, man.
There you go. That's awesome.
It's probably like a straight.
I don't know. It looks like, was that a Model A? It's got to be a Model A, right?
No, I think it's no, that hood ornament looks like something that's not a Ford.
All right, fair enough. No, it looks like a model. It's shaped like a model. Oh, most cars looked similar back in the day. So.
True. It's definitely not a Model T.
It's not a Model T. Model T is too small.
It's not a Tin Lizzy.
No, it's not. So.
Which incidentally, how Thin Lizzy got their name, they didn't understand the accent.
Tin Lizzy.
Yeah. They thought they were saying Thin Lizzy.
Right.
Anyway, it's Repeal Day, so can we bring the guest on?
Let's bring the guest on. I'd like to drink beer, so please.
Oh, I just splashed beer onto my.
That sounds like a personal problem. I did not. So. All right. Let's welcome to the show, please, Mr. Brendan Arnold from Alternate Ending Beer Company. How are you, Brendan?
Great, man. Thanks for having me.
We definitely wanted to get you on the show for a lot of reasons, but mainly because of the beer you're brewing. So,
and happy Repeal Day.
Happy Repeal Day.
Happy Repeal Day.
Repeal Day.
Cheers.
So wait, we got something else actually. I'm getting a notification from the Dominican Republic.
From the Caribbean?
From the Caribbean.
We have nobody watches us.
Oh, I know who it is.
Oh, that guy.
This guy.
Time.
Leaves this morning on vacation for a week to go diving in the DR, and he brings his Coastal shirt with him and comes on the show. That's dedication, my friend.
Well, because he's got a big fancy dinner, and that's the nicest shirt he owns. So it's got a collar.
Hey, I brought my good T-shirt too. So
there you go. It's white and pressed. That's what it is.
It's only pressed because he put it in with his hiking.
Well, that's true. It wasn't pressed when he put it in. Exactly. Anyway, how are you two fine gentlemen this evening?
Very good. Can't complain. Right.
Happy Repeal Day to you as well.
It's a lot warmer here.
I can imagine.
How is he?
There you go. All right. I'm going to pour my beer. Brendan, why don't you tell us what you're drinking?
You know, I was going to keep it a secret, but I'm drinking the alternate ending Coastal Brew Works collab black IPA because this is the first time I've taken a 4-pack home.
Wow.
And I'm going to drink the whole thing.
I think that's a good idea. And Matt, what are you drinking?
Conveniently enough, one of these stowed away in my luggage.
There you go.
And I found it when I was unpacking my dad gear, and I said, I might as well drink it.
It's amazing how it just decided to get into your luggage on its own. That's
completely.
That's great.
Completely bubble wrapped, so it didn't get crushed in transit either.
Well, it protected itself before it got in. Conveniently put the crawl up. Dave and I will be partaking in that beer, of course. But later on in the show, we have a couple of lighter beers to have first. Speaking of your lighter beer, Dave,
What am I drinking?
Yeah.
So I went with a cane, and I went with Waist High.
Waist High.
That's their session IPA. I'm trying to do this without spilling anything. This is a yummy beer. This is a session IPA that's got just a ton of dank to it, which, it's making a session IPA and getting this much flavor into it. Jersey's pretty damn good at that, as a matter of fact.
Oh yeah.
So, and speaking of Jersey, I'm risking imploding the universe by pouring a cane beer into a carton glass. So we'll see what happens.
We will see what happens by the end of the show.
No walls are bleeding. There's no lights flickering. The dead have not risen.
Well, that's a good thing. Yet.
We're good.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens by the end.
Hey,
of the show.
that's
dogs living together.
Mass hysteria.
Yeah. This is real biblical shit we're dealing with here.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's
that's
Bull Durham, though. So you can't.
No. Biblical was from Ghostbusters.
Oh, biblical was from Ghostbusters. You said
heavy. We're dealing with some heavy shit.
We're dealing with some heavy shit here. Is Bull Durham? Yeah.
Okay, so someone get a live chicken.
Yeah, really. That's.
We can bounce from movie to movie.
I was going to say that's Major League. All right.
No. The live chicken's from Bull Durham. It's.
No, he wanted a live chicken. He wanted to sacrifice a live chicken in
they did
Major League, so he wound up with getting
Jobu, but eventually it was fuck you, Jobu. I do it myself.
Right, but he wound up getting him. He wound up getting him KFC instead. So,
but that works
exactly.
All he needed was the bones.
That's it. I'm drinking all alternate ending beers tonight. I'm starting with Out of the Shadows.
Very nice.
This is their Czech anniversary pills, triple decocted.
Longest brew day of my life.
I was going to say you showed up at 6 a.m. and left on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
Right.
I do that beer once a year, but at first it was just kind of a challenge as a brewer. Can you actually pull this triple decoction off? It was so intimidating, but now it's just the challenge is how can I be consistent and keep producing that beer and have it really clean. And it's really, really cool beer. I'm glad we're able to do it, and awesome. I'm glad
it's a delicious beer.
Still have the life in me.
Well, cheers, gentlemen. Happy Repeal Day.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. Oh, it's good. That's really tasty. I think this is the first time, Dave, you're actually going to have, and the first time in a long time, you're going to have 3 IPAs and no lagers on the show. So.
Yes. I thought I did that again. Didn't I do that recently?
You had 2. We
had 2. Right?
Last week we had 2, yeah.
Yeah. Started off with British style, then went to IPAs.
Exactly.
Yeah, this will be the first time since we pretty much started.
Now you're just all IPAs.
I've went all IPAs because it's no secret I'm not a huge IPA fan, so I don't usually have a lot of them in the fridge. But I'm trying to make room in the fridge, so I'm cleaning out IPAs first.
Mm-hmm. No. Cleaning out.
About the only way to make this thing better is to drink a Presidente Light first and then
which you did.
Better than I even normally
which you just admitted on a live show
yes.
that you had a Presidente Light before this beer. Yeah.
He's in the DR. There's nothing else to drink unless it's got an umbrella in it.
That's true.
Dude, you do what you got to do, man.
You do what you got to do, yeah.
I had a fruity drink today. I'm allergic to citrus, so that kind of kills a lot of it. But
oh yeah, that's right.
I have a somewhat limited palate of what I can.
Oh, Superman just gave up his kryptonite on live.
On live,
nice,
yeah.
Nice.
So,
there are people taking notes.
Exactly. All right, so
oranges.
Let's get started, Brendan. Brendan, might as well ask you. Get the show going. Start off the asking you the
That was
question we
tasty.
ask everybody. To the best of your recollection, what's the first craft beer? What was the first craft beer you ever had? And it can be, craft, ish. It doesn't have to be, a triple decocted Czech lager.
No, this was it was probably a beer like in the Colorado market. I'm thinking it was Mojo. It was Boulder Beer Company's Mojo
beer.
IPA. And I remember thinking, like, Jesus, what is this beer? Like, because it was so intense with bitterness and hop character. It was almost, undrinkable. But the more I, got
the
into
first time
beer,
having that amount of hops and bitterness and items in your mouth.
Yeah.
I can imagine.
Going from like drinking, banquet beer to Mojo IPA. But that kind of was like that shock into the craft industry. Like, okay, wait a minute, like there's flavor here. But beyond that, then it was kind of Boulevard Pale Ale was the beer that was like, all right, now I have my everyday craft beer.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do remember Mojo being like that Jesus moment. Like, oh my God, this beer is more than I ever thought it could be.
Wow.
That's a hell of a beer to start off with.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was intense. When I drink it now, it's not nearly as intense as it was back then. But yeah, I do remember being shocked by that beer.
Yeah, there's not much more that could have been a little bit more than that. I mean, like, something like who did Palette Wrecker? Was that
That was Green Flash.
Green
Flash, yeah.
Or Maharaja
from Avery, and Revolution did Unsessionable.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
right,
those
that,
all
yeah.
three of those beers, even to this day, you drink, and it's
a
oh my
lot.
God, what did I just put in my mouth?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Maharaja, you can't taste any other beer for about 2 days once you're done with that one.
Yeah. Have it last and not be drinking the next day or two. Unless you're drinking that again. So
they go to 100 IBUs because that's as far as they can measure.
As well, that the human palate can perceive what they say, but
right.
That was like that pre IBU war era. It was just kind of this craft bitterness was just festering at that time, right?
Right.
I almost thought you said Festivus. We're not there yet.
No, not yet.
We're getting there. It is Krampusnacht though.
Krampusnacht?
Yes, Krampusnacht is tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So happy Krampusnacht.
Yes.
That's a good name.
To all you naughty children.
That is a good name for a beer, Krampusnacht.
There you go.
Yeah.
You got to figure out how to get that nautical though. I'm sure you can come up with something.
We'll figure.
That's the sound of those two boys thinking.
We'll work on it.
I don't want to burn down the resort here in the DR.
Yeah. There you go. So, on that note, really quick though, Brendan, what was the first brewery you visited that you can remember?
I remember when I was a kid.
It can be any if you went to Busch Gardens,
No, that's actually the answer I'm going to give you. When I went to Busch Gardens.
We've heard that before.
And I remember they were brewing when I was there, and God, I had to have been like 6 or 7 or 8 years old, and I remember the smell of the hops was too much. I couldn't handle it, and I think my mom still makes fun of me to this day. Like, now that I'm in a brewing career for how many years, she's like, I still remember that day that you hated the hops and the
yeah, when you're young.
Busch Gardens. But yeah, that was the first brewery that I ever visited.
Which Busch Gardens? Just out of curiosity. In
Virginia,
Williamsburg. Yeah.
I know I took my kids to Sandy Hook, and I wanted to pick up some beer at Carton on the way back, and they were like, I think 12 and 9 or 11 and 8, something like that. So hopefully they'll remember that was their first brewery they ever went to. But we walked in, we were in there for maybe 5 minutes. They're both like, "Can we wait outside?" They couldn't take the smell of the spent grains.
That's there. Well, hey, that happens.
Yep.
Technically, if you want to call it, I mean, there's a little bit of a gray area there. Busch Gardens in Tampa would have been my first, but we didn't get. My father went on when I was a kid. We didn't get past the beer garden. I wasn't anywhere near the brewery. My father went on the tour. I did not. So I didn't. I never call that my first brewery that I ever went to. My first brewery I went to was in the mid '80s in Montreal. I went to Molson. That was my first. But no craft either way. So,
Yeah.
you know. Anyway. Okay. Let's talk about old ending, because that's why you're here and main reason you're here, and we'll talk about it. Well, first of all, let's talk about you. When did you actually start brewing yourself, personally?
I started brewing in early 2013.
Okay.
I was the general manager of a brew pub in Kansas for a few years. Learned a lot about beer. Even before that, I was kind of in the craft industry. I was a bar manager for a local sports bar and kind of like building this micro brew section when we called it micro brew before craft. So I was bringing in some breweries from the Midwest and some imported brands and. So I had a little craft beer knowledge. I was doing some flavor stuff, and the brewmaster, he was kind of like the first generation brewmaster from the 80s, who was a home brewer who opened a brewery with some partners there. And he just came to me one day and said, "Hey, I want to retire." And he wanted to sell his stock also, but he just basically said, "Why don't you give the job to your assistant manager and start brewing beer?" And I said, well, I thought about it because I was working so much, working nights, weekends. And I was like, all right, if I can have weekends off and you give me a raise, I'll start making beer. And he was like, deal. So I started brewing beer. And he said, okay, I'll brew with you for a year. And then this place is all yours. And after 8 months, he took off. And he's like, you're good. You're fine. So it was a brew pub brewery, 10 barrel, all single infusion. I had 5 10-barrel fermenters and 10 barrel bright tanks. So it was pretty much,
wow,
no packaging, just brewing for the tap room. I could have a lot of fun. But I still didn't feel like I really learned enough from him. And I wanted to take it to another level. So I started taking Siebel courses online while I was brewing there. So I went through that advanced brewing theory program through Siebel and just kind of learned as much as I could and tried to, control the process and not lose sleep every night. When you're a brewer, that's a big part of making beer is, overthinking everything and losing a lot of sleep. So I was like, how can I just trust what I'm doing enough and make really great beer? So that, taking those courses really gave me that confidence that I needed to,
awesome.
sleep at night, really.
That's awesome. Matt, that wasn't the same brew pub you and Dustin went to, was it, on the weekend?
No, I believe not. That was
that's a great story.
This brew pub, you'd have to drive from Denver to Kansas City, and then you would have found us. We were like halfway between.
That's kind of what you did.
What was the name of it?
It was called Gella's Diner and Liquid Bread Brewing.
Okay, no. We were at a place called Center Pivot, which is also
Pivot. They were farther west from us, but I did some consulting for him when he opened that brewery.
Yeah,
nice.
That was our road. Well, because we drove from Kansas City to Denver.
And Center Pivot was your stop.
That way, though. So we stopped there for lunch, and we were the only ones not wearing overalls without a shirt.
You're in Western Kansas there, my friend. That's a different world.
Yeah, 2 dudes getting out of a bright yellow Audi station wagon in that town kind of caused a stir. So
that's perfect.
Della's Diner and what?
It was Liquid Bread, or LB Brewing Company.
Liquid Bread, nice.
Yeah, so it was kind of a revitalization effort in the downtown. It was 5 storefronts where they put in, a big restaurant and a brew pub. I think they opened maybe in 2005, and then I took over the brewing in 2013 to 2020, something like that.
Gotcha.
Did your flight glasses at least match, though?
Yes.
My buddy Dustin and I both got a flight of, I think, 5 or 6 beers, and no 2 of the glasses matched between the whole set, between like all 12 of them.
Wow.
Fantastic. Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Just got them down at the thrift store, probably.
Yeah,
right?
pretty much. I was like, this is awesome.
I gotta say, I went and Googled Gella's Diner, and man, those fries look good.
Yeah, very similar situation to Alternate Ending without the movies. Great kitchen, big brew pub setting. A lot of attention to detail.
Is that stroganoff? I'm looking at stroganoff.
You're making me hungry.
I'm getting hungry sitting here. I'm getting.
Yeah, I made great photos of the
Exactly.
food too, so it's tough to look at.
All right, so 2020 rolls around. Now, did you leave there before all hell broke loose in March, or did you, or was that why you left there?
Well, it's kind of fun. Yeah, that's kind of what kind of tipped the, was the tipping point. But my wife and I visited New Jersey to visit some of my family in the end of 2019, and the company she was working for was, a little iffy. They were, going through some, issues financially. So she had a few connections in Manhattan. And when we were here visiting, I was like, well, let's just look at the Brew Association. Let's see if there's anything happening, in craft beer in New Jersey. Cause I didn't really know much about the scene. I think I drank at the hotel bar. I was drinking Jersey Girl Hellas or something like that, like every night. But, I didn't know. I was like, I'm just going to drink New Jersey beer. But anyway, I was like, well, I'll just look at Brewer Association, pulled that up, and I see Alternate Ending Beer Company. And I was like, this is crazy, So I thought about it, and I was like, God, Alternate Ending, like, is that a sign? It's so weird, So I was putting some feelers out. I emailed Scott, our founder and owner, and I was like, I might be interested. Let's talk. And we had a couple phone interviews, and I flew out right before all hell broke loose. February 2020, and I looked at the building. It was right after the demo, so it was gutted. The infrastructure, nothing was in place. And I took the job. In February 2020. As soon as I got back to Kansas, we were locked down. So I thought, well, maybe this is a great time to, pull some unemployment and pack up the house. So we spent our COVID lockdown drinking beer and packing our house up and preparing for a move. Yeah, it was a trip, man.
And a half, I'll say.
Yeah. It's a long drive. But yeah, so then once we got halfway through lockdown, we packed up a truck and we drove out in June 2020, and that's when I came out and started building the brewery.
That's awesome. When did Alternate Ending actually open again?
Officially, we call it around Halloween-ish is when we were really open. We had beer, in cans and in tanks. I know we've had to open at 25% capacity. So it was tough, really.
You were doing pickups at the back door, and
we were doing pickups and everything we could just to try to generate a little bit of a buzz, because we couldn't have much of a grand opening. We had a great soft opening, friends and family thing, but we just, with that much limited capacity and just so many restrictions, it was tough, but a lot of hard work, and we made it through all that. It's wild to even think about, because feels like so much has happened in the last 3 years.
Right. Well, where that started. Yeah, exactly. So that's crazy. Now just want to back you up a second. You said that you were reading the Brewers Association as far as jobs went and everything when you're sitting in the hotel drinking Jersey beer, and you said Alternate Ending. That's a sign. Why was that a sign?
Yeah, I was gonna.
Yeah, I see Alternate Ending. I guess I didn't. At first I didn't associate that with movies. Mm-hmm. To me, it was just kind of like is this your alternate ending?
Gotcha.
So I was talking with my wife, and I was like, God, that's just so weird. That's just sticking with me, And even when we got back home, I just kept thinking, like, I'm going to reach out to this guy, because there's something I couldn't shake it. It just was a feeling,
Kismet.
Sure.
It's called. Do you remember when
the French call a certain I don't know what?
Yeah, exactly.
Je ne sais, huh?
Je ne sais what?
Yeah. So when they finally were able to open the doors, do you remember the first movie they screened?
At Alternate Ending?
Yeah. Or were you too busy back in the brew house?
Do you remember? Is that why you're testing him, or what?
No, I don't remember. I wasn't there when they opened. I'm asking them because I have no clue.
God, I'm trying to.
So I was wondering.
Anybody listening to anybody watching this, rewatching this, or listening to the audio podcast, you'll hear in a few minutes why Dave's asking that question.
Yeah, well, yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get to that in a minute. Yeah.
I can't remember if it's not Jaws or Rocky Horror. I can't remember. You know, it may have been around the beer releases too. So
if Matt had
like
picked
Quirks.
it would have been Jaws.
Right.
I know. You know, we
Well, if it
started
was
that
me, it would have been
Chucklehead
the first,
series.
second, and third movie they viewed. So
Jaws 1, 2, 3, 4.
It was a
3D,
combination of.
The Revenge.
Maybe it was Jaws and Rocky Horror. It was a shark wearing lingerie.
Hey, I'd watch that. Yeah.
Hey, they made Sharknado and Cocaine Bear. Why not?
It's true. That is true. Exactly.
Both were hits somehow.
Yeah. Anyway. All right. So, okay. Alternate endings. So you landed alternate endings. You get back to Jersey. You're brewing there. Talk about alternate endings. Tell everybody what's different about alternate endings from your typical brewery. Obviously, it's a brew pub, but expand upon that. But also what you do there.
Yeah. Well, you know, from the very beginning when we were in the design process, we knew that we were going to put in a decoction loop in the brew house. Mm-hmm. Thinking, you know, let's push the traditional lagers, you know, because even at this time when we were talking about it, you didn't really see a lot of the lagers. You know, we had a feeling that it was festering and people were going for more refreshing, lower ABV beers, but it didn't really rear its head just yet. But you know, I did a lot of German brewing back in Kansas. So when it came to, you know, brewing German lagers and brewing Kolsch, you know, that was something I really enjoyed to do. But I didn't have the capabilities to do decoction. I was, you know, it was single infusion. I was doing a little step infusion, you know, trying to control the fermentability, but I didn't have this, you know, traditional, you know, process, you know, right in front of me that I was able to execute. So we knew that we were going to be the lager brewery in the area. But also Scott spent some time brewing at Other Half. So we knew that we had, an obligation to make IPA and to make juice, you know?
Right.
So we're thinking, okay, you know, we really want to
obligation to the bottom line, you mean?
Yeah.
You also wanted this to be a business.
Yeah. We found that out later. We thought the IPA would pay the bills so we could make the lager.
Yeah.
But now it's like the lager pays the bills so we can make the lager and we keep, you know, all the haze nerds happy.
Exactly.
Which I hope we do because, you know, at first when I was kind of thinking, you know, what's alternate endings IPA? You know, we can't just come in and regurgitate, you know, Other Half IPA or make Treehouse IPA or try to do, you know, what someone else is doing. So one of the first things I did is I brewed 5 different hazy IPAs 5 different ways. And then we kind of decided what is, out of these 5, what is our process? What is our IPA? And we kind of found that with the Chuckleheads with the 2-hop. Mm-hmm. I also brewed kind of version 1 of our core IPA, the What If IPA. And it was so punchy that we ended up turning that into Total Consciousness, a seasonal IPA. Mm-hmm. And then so version 2 of What If came shortly after. But, you know, what I found was, you know, it's really not focused on the malt. Let's keep, you know, the guys were really big fans of light colored IPAs. So really, you know, all the base malt we use is Pilsner malt, and I use only oats for some nice haze stability. But keep the malt bill very simple. We don't want them too heavy. So, you know, I think our IPAs tend to be a little drier than most, but I think it's a tough style to make it refreshing, you know? So it's like, let's land these, you know, not dry, but, you know, for an IPA, they're medium body, you know, medium to, you know, full body beers. Right. And, you know, that was a big deal. You know, how do we make our, you know, presence known and how do we do something different, you know, because the lagers are very much like, how can we create a really clean product that's brewed in the traditional method? And then, you know, the IPAs were kind of the other side. Like, how do we find our identity, you know, a little bit with that? So it was really lager and IPA from day one, and then played with, you know, getting some stouts into barrels. Let's see what happens there. Let's get some, you know, light Belgian ales into some, you know, wine barrels. Let's pitch some bugs and let's see what happens and see what develops over time. Because and honestly, you know, kind of back to the lager thing too, it's time is the best ingredient in beer. You know,
Oh, yeah.
so whether it be maturation time with lagering or spending more time mashing your beer and really looking at the fermentability and those little details, or, you know, just putting beer away and, you know, letting it develop. So I think, you know, time and taking the time to develop these, you know, our identity was a big part of what I was thinking when we started brewing beer there.
Nice.
I mean, that decoction loop is definitely one of the most unique things that you guys have going on. And then just for the people who are listening that
Especially in
don't
the area.
fully understand what a decoction is, do you want
Right.
to just really walk them through that process in a very
Yeah,
simple way?
sure. So decoction brewing was a traditional method of mashing, and a mash is when you mix the crushed grain with water, and that's a very specific temperature, pH, and a very specific mash thickness, because you're activating naturally occurring enzymes in the grain, whether it be, you know, barley, wheat. For the most part, this happened prior to the availability of thermometers. So they just, over hundreds of years, thousands of years, figured out how to make a fermentable wort, you know. So decoction mashing was pretty much boiling, you know, adding water to the crushed grain at they called it blood hot. So at basically, you know, when you dip your finger in, it should be the same temperature as you. And then if I take a certain percentage of this mash and I put it in another vessel and I boil that grain and water, return it to that main mash, the temperature will increase. And then if they do that multiple times, you know, back then, you know, that, and there's still a few breweries doing the, you know, the triple decoction for most brews, but that created the desired fermentability, desired wort clarity. And, you know, over time realized, you know, these are enzymes we're activating. And it's kind of odd, the more you think about decoction brewing and step infusion, that really barley was meant to make beer. It really wasn't meant to make bread. You know, it was these enzymes, how when you add hot water, the mash thins out, the pH rises a little bit, the temperature increases, another enzyme is activated. You add it again, and another enzyme is activated. It's just kind of meant to be, but it is a very labor-intensive process.
So
you know?
are you saying it's proof of the existence of God?
I would dare to say that.
I because
Yeah.
how would this
Beer.
because Darwinism, how would this have developed prior to us actually doing this? And that was always there. Beer is proof that God loves us and wants us to be happy.
Well, that's Benjamin Franklin.
It's Benjamin Franklin, and it's also misquoted because he actually says wine, right? But but still, the magic of barley turning into what you just described, that might be proof of the existence of God.
There you go.
Yeah. I mean, there's even a lot more than there. But as far as decoction brewing, you know, there's a lot of talk now, you know, with more modified malts and more, you know, technological advances in brewing. Is this absolutely necessary? But there's so much extra character you get when you take the time to make these types of beers that you just don't get without it. And it is a nuance. It is, you know, a few things, you know, I hope it's not just, you know, the brewers that notice this.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's you get so much out of that extra labor, but also the gratification as a brewer, you know, like when I pulled off my first triple decoction, you know, it was just this day where I stopped and I was like, where do I go from here? You know, this is the most complex mash I've ever done in my life. It took 12 hours to make this
Staring
beer.
from the top of the mountain, you know.
And it's like, wow, you know, look what I just accomplished, you know. And so to me, it's like you're almost flexing your muscles a little bit. Like I can control the process and really, you know, really make exactly what I want to make, you know, and the exact fermentability. It also helps with consistency when you have different crop years of barley, you know, that decoction process kind of evens some of that out. But, you know, the color and the little extra body you get and the foam retention, flavor stability, you know, there's a lot of things that maybe the average beer drinker doesn't think about that you can really get rewarded with.
But at the sacrifice of sleep, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Gotta love that.
Because how long was your brew day for that triple concoction?
If I include the cleanup in the brew house, yeah, it was a good 11, 12 hours. Yeah.
So anybody who's drinking any number of decoctions up, know that the person who brewed this beer really sacrificed a lot of sweat, time, and sleep to make this for you.
Definitely.
And I tell you, Out of the Shadows, really, it was, for us, it was worth your effort.
It was fantastic. It was fantastic. It was so fantastic that I finished it, and I'm gonna open up my second beer.
Yeah,
Dave,
and that is the triple.
I'm almost done with my second one, John.
All right.
That is the triple decoction. That's the 12-hour brew, the Out of the Shadows I'm referring to.
No.
But
trying to explain to people, and it's like, even though that's still a lager, it has a beautiful fullness to it. It's not heavy, but it has a fullness. It has a little bit of weight on your palate.
Yep.
When you drink it, and it's just it's a fullness.
Yeah.
And it's a later lager beer that still has a fullness when you drink it, and that's awesome.
It gives your tongue something to really bask in. Nice.
It's the finer details you can get it in the beers, but and our house pilsner, our German pils is a single decoction. That's not a crazy brew day. We do a lot of double decoction brews with some other Czech beers and our German Helles.
How many times did you decoct this beer, which is my second beer right here?
Two decoctions.
We've gone to plaid, so this is double decocted right here.
Yeah,
we've got to plaid, and it's
Spaceballs.
I'm a huge Schwarzbier whore, and I'm a huge rye whore too. So a rye Schwarzbier, forget about it.
There's almost a double reference to Spaceballs there, because it's the Schwartz and you're plaid,
and also on the label, on the logo, on the label. Thank you. It says password 1 2 3 4 5.
There are a lot of hidden nuggets on those cans. If you take the time to really read them, we've got a lot of creative people that come together to.
Well, you also a lot of your names are from movies.
But there you go. Look at that.
That's beautiful. When we were there, I think Kerry ordered the Via Con Dios, which is a reference to the Three Musketeers. That was Charlie Sheen, Via Con Dios.
That is a reference to...
Or it's another movie.
That is...
That's not Point Break, is it?
Point Break.
Oh, so okay, yes. A better movie, by the way.
It's a Keanu Reeves beer.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these are like what ifs, and we kind of hinted at the fact that Keanu's always playing Keanu in every film. It was replacements and a Point Break beer. So yeah, but I see the Three Musketeers, but yeah, it was Point Break.
Incorrect.
Is there any movies where he doesn't know Kung Fu? I don't think so.
One.
Yeah.
That would be Bill and Ted.
Well,
that makes two. There was
he was in Parenthood too. I don't think he knew that then.
Oh yes, actually there was 3 Bill and Teds. So we're not the 4 movies he didn't know.
So there you go.
Kung Fu, but other than that, just don't shoot his dog.
No, you don't want to do that.
Just don't shoot his dog.
What was your second beer there, Samurai?
It was. It's definitely it's going to be a past tense in a second. Hold on.
Well, no, don't finish it and then tell us.
No, it's gone.
Yeah, because now you're going to open your third beer, and I just opened my second because I waited because I didn't know you opened your second beer. So.
I wanted to make you correct, so you said was, so it was. So this is from Subculture. It's fluorescent.
Fluorescence. Yeah.
John gave it to me. I gotta get a softer light bulb. The glare off these cans is too much. This. I was surprised at how malty this beer was.
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah, it's malty. A lot of grapefruit in it. That was a good beer, but I rushed through that one so that I could get to my third, because we know what the third is already.
Well, I'm not rushing. I'm not rushing through this plaid, even though I, well,
actually,
maybe whatever.
It's only because
the hotel lighting's not too bad.
No, it's not bad at all.
Wow, which looks great.
And it's not that I rushed through the second one, John. I rushed through the first one.
Oh, of course. Yeah, well, you wanted to get that cane beer out of the carton glass really quick.
I was.
You were really worried about that.
I was worried. But
well,
I'm pouring this into proper glassware.
Here's the can right here. I'll drink it shortly. So,
are you going to pour into proper glassware, John?
I will be pouring it In proper glassware, yes.
There we go.
There you go.
You need. Wait a second. Do breweries ever do collabs on glassware?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You connect. Yeah.
We hint.
We'll work on
Hint. Okay. Say.
So a glass just shaped like her old school bra. Is that what you want, Dave?
That is funny. It's like Carrie's like, why are there boobs? She's like, why are there boobs on the can? I'm like, have you never seen the movie poster?
that.
This is right from the movie poster.
Exactly.
No, but I love the fact that a lot of your beers are named with these movie references. So half the time, I mean, a lot of times you can tell the movie references if you see the can art. For instance, like this one, it's just, you've got this will give you some sort of hint there as to what's going on.
Animal stout, yeah.
But some of these, some of those you have to kind of guess at. Like I said, I guess at the one I was incorrect. It was Point Break rather than Three Musketeers. So it's always a lot of fun to go through the beer menu and try to figure out what movie are they referencing here.
Dave, I don't want to bust your balls too badly, but Vaya con Dios is Spanish and Three Musketeers are French.
How it is. However, you've never seen the movie, so I'm going to bust your balls because you've never seen the movie. Because Charlie Sheen's character is actually an ex-priest, and anytime he shoots someone, he goes Vaya con Dios every time in the movie. So you've obviously not seen the movie.
It's a good movie, guys.
That's the one.
It's actually a good movie. It's not as good as Point Break, mind you, but it's worth watching. Keith Sutherland, Charlie Sheen, Oliver Platt.
Mm-hmm.
I quote Oliver Platt from that movie a lot, where someone says, "Well, what kept you?" I said, "I was dealing with something ugly."
Ugly.
It's one of the best lines from that movie. So
he knows kung fu in that movie.
Oliver Platt.
And he just cuts the rope, and the guy falls through.
There you go.
Yes, that's a kung fu moment right there.
This is very true.
I can see what you mean. Like, if you're not looking at the label, but every beer name, I guess besides, What If and Why Not, they're kind of like our
Joel's Wings.
Joel's Wings. Well, that was part of the charity for Melissa's Wings Foundation that Jose Manchola puts together every year. So we've done a few of those. We did Lawrence's Wings with Craig from the Today Show. We did Joel's Wings. Those are this year's batches. And then last year we did Elena, which was a saison that we donated the proceeds to the Melissa Wings Foundation. That goes to Memorial Sloan Kettering in honor of his late mother.
Mm-hmm. And again, one
really great event
we love about the brewing industry is all their charity work.
Absolutely. Did you? And then I was just going to bring up one collab you did. The collab you did with Eskerhart, because we all had it on Black Friday when we were there for the release for Beer for the Black Lagoon. The Beautiful Friendship, that was fantastic.
Thank you. Yeah, that might be only half of that batch.
Oh, good. Well,
some's been put down.
So we like to release the Beautiful Friendship. That's our anniversary beer, where we can kind of talk about a friendship we've had that year. We with either a distillery or with another brewery. So we brewed it was like a 6-hour boil, big stout with Bobby DeAngelis. He's with Eskerhart Brewing. Mm-hmm. And that had to have been 18, 20 months ago, something like that. And we filled some bourbon barrels. So that was a blend of 2 of those bourbon barrels. So it really nice, rich, but still just I say clean barrel-aged stout. So we might have a few more barrels in the back that we're going to add some flavor additions. And I think you can look for another, official kind of collab release around New Year's Eve, something like that. The other half of that batch.
You heard it here first, folks.
You heard it here first, folks. There you go.
Yeah. And we're pretty excited. I may have sourced some really expensive, wacky vanilla beans that are just going to be out of this world.
And Matt, it's funny that he said he might have sourced some. You and I usually pop over to source on New Year's Eve, so now we have to drive up the block. So
name dropping now, but.
You're not going to be at the game. I'm going to be at the game.
Have fun. There you go.
It's going to be a throwaway game. It's
I
fine.
know. I know. I'll be at the game next Monday.
I may not even. We'll see if I actually go in. I might be at Brian's. What you call it?
I definitely won't be at the game next Monday.
You won't be at the game next Monday.
Nope.
I'll be at the game next Monday. Hopefully, it'll be a better Monday night than the one you and I went to in September, Matt.
I'll still be on the beach here.
There you go.
You poor thing.
I know it's awful.
Exactly.
Suffer for all of us.
Exactly. Yeah. Just take care of it. Anyway. All right.
But yeah, I'm glad you're digging the stouts. I
No,
think that's
please.
been another work in progress. I think really developing that program and finding our identity. We're still in the shadow of Kane when it comes to barrel aged stouts. It's so I think these are really starting to come together. We're filling filling barrels, just giving it a lot of time, and some of these blends we've come up with. I'm hearing a lot of positive feedback. So, if we can even be mentioned in the same sentence as Kane when it comes to our stouts,
I'll say one thing: a beautiful friendship.
Been really excited.
You've got a seat at the table.
Yeah. No.
Thank you, man. Appreciate that.
That beer. Yeah. No, I'm a blowing smoke up your ass, Brendan. That beer was fantastic.
Yeah, and I had another iteration of it, but Matt was drinking it at the when we were there, and he offered me a taste, and I'm not going to turn down a taste of it.
I was drinking it too, but I didn't offer him a taste.
No, he didn't. John,
I'm a generous
we pretend to get along on the show.
Well, and I'll be honest.
Actually, in the interest of full disclosure, Matt offered it first, and I'm like, well, I'm not going to give him a second taste. It's more for me.
I also really like the Kobayashi. The Kobayashi was
Kobayashi. Yeah, that was a collab we did with Offshore Coffee.
Wait a second. That's Kobayashi is a Usual Suspects.
That's
reference.
a Usual Suspects. Yeah. You should see that label too. That's pretty cool. Yeah.
That was the stamp on the bottom of the coffee cup.
Yep.
And the lawyer, sort of, maybe, possibly.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, more foreshadowing. Anyway, that's
Exactly. All right. So talk about.
We could talk about this beautiful little thing too.
I'm about to pour it in about 3 minutes. So let me ask one more question, and then we can talk about that.
John is so good at stalling.
It's not stalling. It's a lead-in. I have another question before it. Talk about some of the beers that are you've mentioned a few of them already, but that are your core beers, your flagship beers. They have all the time, and then we can get into other things.
Sure. Yeah. So our first core beer, batch number 1 on the brew house was the single decoction German Pilsner, the Royal Rug. That's a Big Lebowski reference.
Oh, and I love
that. And that's a really, that's kind of my pride and joy, that beer, because that was, I learned about decoction brewing in Siebel, and I did a lot of research, but then finally being able to execute that method, that was the first beer I ever decocted, and it hit, and the recipe hasn't changed since batch number 1.
It brings the whole brewery together.
It does. I'm a huge fan of that and the concept. Our second core brand is the What If IPA.
Mm-hmm.
And that was really the beer that I spent the most time thinking, like, what is our identity? What sets us apart? And I think that beer really achieves it. I use an old school hop in that beer. And I've just heard from a lot of our customers that it's just, there's something about it that's different from other IPAs. And it's that old school hop that I'm inspired by. One of my favorite pale ales out there. We also have another,
which is
Sierra Nevada.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go.
Yeah. So without saying,
I figured. I just wanted him to say it.
And then we have so that was also when we were seeing the lager movement kind of really start to rise, but also we were seeing the lower ABV movement, kind of happen. I think for us, we're seeing a lot less triple IPAs moving. We're seeing, more of our single IPAs, sub 7%. We touched into, some pale ales here and there. So we went with it's called Why Not? It's kind of another exclamation point label, but this is the ampersand. And it's a 5% hazy pale ale with Eldorado and Pacific Sunrise. And Pacific Sunrise is a really great hop. And I think we achieved a lot of body in that beer with a lower ABV. So I really love that beer. It's a crusher, and it really just it had the perfect time and place when that came out. So the German Pils, the hazy IPA, and the hazy IPA, the What If, that runs about 7.5% ABV. Although I wish it was lower, but I think it finds a nice happy medium with our doubles. The pale ale, the hazy pale ale, and then most recently we added a West Coast IPA, American IPA, whatever you want to call it, or Via Candios that you mentioned earlier. And that is kind of my selfish IPA that I was like, oh, thank God, these beers are coming back, because that was just kind of my personal IPA recipe.
Oh, yeah.
Because that was just my favorite beer in the world for so many years. I had a flagship beer at the last brewery that was called Fort Fletcher IPA, and this was very much close to that, just like my selfish beer,
Yeah, I mean, juice keeps the lights on, right? And I'll drink it. It's good. Some of them are phenomenal, and there's a large gamut in between. But West Coast IPAs, I mean, that's the bitterness, the pininess, the earthiness.
But I think it also goes a lot better with food. Like, I don't know, like I like New England IPAs, but I don't find myself wanting to drink one with a meal a lot of times.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I enjoy it as its own thing. I mean, but the Via con Dios, like that is going to go great with anything on the pizza menu there. It's going to stand up, have a little bit of bitterness. It's it's a beer that you can really have with food.
And we've noticed that at a lot of our accounts, a lot of restaurants have picked that up and started, keeping that as a regular offering. But,
sure.
For me, it's like, I like my beer dry because I like to drink beer.
Yeah.
So I'm always going back for more, trying to, quench my thirst. But when you have such heavy beers, it's like, you can have one or two, but it just doesn't feel like thirst quenching. Like to me, beer, that's how beer should be.
Yeah.
And not that I don't like hazy IPAs, but Via Candios, that is just absolutely, my.
You've done other West Coast too. You did a modern West Coast recently too.
Yeah, so that's kind of this West Coast IPA is now kind of changed, and I've tossed around the idea. Well, Via Candios, that's an American IPA. West Coast IPAs, the charge has really changed from North Park Brewing in San Diego and Firestone Walker. And they're making these bright, clear, light beers, light in color, but with all late edition hops. So just a big, bold hop aroma and flavor, a little dankness, but without the bitterness or, the high sulfate content, the really intense dryness you can get. So it's almost a middle ground where focusing on hop flavor and aroma instead of the dryness and the bitterness. There's no crystal malts that give you that malt backbone. So yeah, that's kind of a new thing that's happening. So we were playing with the idea, and one of my brewers, Steve, was talking with the guys from North Park, and they've been super successful. And we stopped by there last year. We were in San Diego for a collab with Harland Brewing, and went over to North Park and tasted their beers. And we were thinking, like, man, like West Coast IPA is changing. So this was kind of my, iteration, what's alternate endings, modern West Coast IPA. So Feed Me was kind of taking what we had learned and what we've talked about. And then I implemented
Johnny on the spot, literally.
a new hop product that was this Nelson Hop Keef from Freestyle Hops. And that we put in the finished beer, this Hop Keef, because it's just like this pure extraction of just all the good, and it really just added this resiny, punchy character to that beer. And it just, I think it really achieved what we were looking to achieve, and just like, making our version of what this beer is. So, I think we achieved the stylistically what that beer is, but then our own identity at the same place. But I still prefer the old school West Coast crystal malt, dry, IPAs.
I feel like the
back to the mojo, it just brings me back.
I feel like the IBU levels have crept up a little bit even in the real New Englands though too. There was almost like that zero IBU phase, and then everyone realized like that beer doesn't finish; it finishes like crap. Like you need a little bit of IBU to
You need the bitterness to dry it out.
like, drink easy.
Well, any IPAs for the longest time were referred to as IPAs for people who don't like IPAs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Well,
because they had no bitterness. And now they're starting to get up there where you're getting more hazies with bitterness. You're getting juice and bitterness. And I'm starting to really kind of appreciate
I mean, it doesn't have to
those.
be blistering, but it just
Yeah.
has to let the beer finish a little bit
It's
better.
got to get your salivary glands going.
Yeah. I mean, some of these hazies, they finish so sweet that it's like, God, I need something to cut through that.
Yeah.
It's to me, and this is just me, but beer is all about balance, right?
Yeah.
That's the hardest thing to achieve. You know, you can make a great beer, but it's that, you know, that finishing touch, you know, this needs to be pleasant and it needs to be balanced. And even hazy IPA.
I agree with you to a point. But it's some of those beers that are well off balance that are remembered. I mean, we talked about Maharaja and Palate Wrecker. Those beers are so out of balance, and that's made them special and recognizable. But I do agree with you on the fact that I appreciate the balance.
Or the one or the half of one that you can drink.
Here's the thing.
Yes,
That's exactly where I was going with that. Like, I would personally rather be remembered less for a beer but remembered, mind you, not just not remembered.
Right.
Remembered less than something, right? Remembered a little less than a beer that you're going to remember because you had it once and you're never going to have it again because it was what it was.
Because it destroyed you. Yes.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. And part of that is, you know, a good beer to me is when I drink that beer, I'm going to drink the whole 6-pack. You know, a good beer isn't, oh, you know, that's a great beer, but I can only have, you know.
I'm not saying these beers are good. I'm saying they're memorable.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, it's like my favorite. It's like,
famous or infamous. That's the problem.
Yeah,
well, it's like my favorite. Like Brendan just said, if he has a beer, it's good. He's gonna drink the whole 6-pack. Like me, my favorite holiday ale.
What is that?
I think it's called Celebration. Okay,
Sierra, Colorado. Sierra.
I know.
It's Celebration here.
I not only drink the whole 6-pack, I drink the rest of the case and the second one that I buy every year. But
in one day.
Not in one day.
But you know, that's what I always told myself, even as an up and coming brewer, or, you know, formulating recipes. I'm just like, you know, how do I make a beer that you could sit at the bar and you just drink 5 beers? You know, like it's that good. You know, to me, that's always what I wanted to achieve. Like really ultra clean, balanced, drinkable beer that's just like. You always want to go back for a second beer.
Royal Rug is one of those.
Yeah, 100%. The way I look at it, I exactly what you're talking about. The way I look at it is, you know, as we all know, like a craft beer drinker is going to go to a bar, not a brewery, a bar, and have, you know, multiple tap service of craft for him. And he's going to have 5 beers. He's going to have 5 different beers, right? I want to make that beer that he has the second one of while he's drinking the other 3. You know, that's what I want to make.
Yeah.
Brendan has done that for me because I think my first time there, I think my first beer and my second beer were both Goodnight Sweet Prince. And I love a Hamlet reference. I love a Hamlet reference. Always love a Hamlet reference. So that's why, well, first I ordered it because it's Tomave Pivo. And that's probably, John knows this, is probably my favorite style amongst every beer out there. Because like Matt, I'm Slavic. So you get...
Wait, did you say Slavic or Slavic? I'm not sure.
Well, I said like Matt. Matt's not a slob.
Oh, all right.
Most of the time.
50%.
But, so I guess my penchant for Czech beers is probably these, you know, the majority of Slavic blood coursing through me. But that Tomave Pivo, that's a beautiful iteration of that style. And
thank you.
I remember I looked at that and was like, they've got a Tomave Pivo. I'm ordering that because I don't want to risk that kicking.
No, you want to get that.
And so I got that. And then I think Zoe was behind bar at the time. And she's like, what are you drinking next day? I'm like, I'll have another one of these. Because I really, really enjoyed that. I mean, I'm going to have more that's up there, but I just need another one of these now.
You know, beer's a time and place, you know, and you know, I'm kind of the opposite. If I go to a bar, I don't drink 5 different beers. You know, I find one that I really like. And I just stick with that. You know, this is the moment I'm drinking this beer. You know?
I completely hear what you're saying. And I've been like that.
Sometimes
you
I'm
know
like that.
you're the exception to the rule, though.
Yeah. But I know
Well, because most of us are trying to get unique check-ins on Untapped. So
Every now
Well,
and
that's
then
a whole
you
other
get
conversation.
That's another conversation for another day.
Well, when you've drank all of Alt Ending's beers, you don't have any more to check in. You just get what you want. That's the way.
Exactly. That's the way. Now he's right. And speaking of that, I'll say one thing. I will always, anytime they put out a new Beautiful Friendship, because this is the third bottle of Beautiful Friendship I've had. The other two, oh my God. So the one that I really, 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 really enjoyed was the whiskey barrel aged with toasted hazelnuts and cacao.
Oh, yeah.
Ooh, the only way that, and I checked it and saying the only way this could be better is if it had just a little bit more body to it. If it had the body of this year's Beautiful Friendship, to me, that would have been like almost the perfect beer.
Yeah.
Well, speaking
and
of,
that was kind of part of our evolution too. I consider myself a little bit of an old school brewer. I kind of learned how to brew before hazy IPA and before pastry stout. So the original Beautiful Friendships, they were like an old school Imperial IPA, right?
Yes.
Like the finishing gravity was like, 8 Play-Doh, 9 Play-Doh,
Right.
Nowadays it's like, now you got to be pushing 13, 14, 15 Play-Doh. And so, it took me some time to really figure out the market and bring that up. But part of me also just wanted to, be unique and say, yeah, I'm going to keep this drinkable and, have that little extra alcohol bite that you get when you don't have that extra sweetness from the body,
Yeah.
But
makes sense.
I've changed my ways, with, and with the influence of the brewers and Scott over there, it's like, we can beef these things up and really show them what we've got. And I think we're definitely getting there for this market and for what's happening at this time.
And I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate that direction. But I've always really appreciated a full mouthfeel to a stout. I love that. I love that body to a stout, and
just the richness you get when that's kind of going down your throat, and it fills your chest. You're just like.
And you've let it warm up to nearly room temperature.
Definitely.
And it's just nice and warming, filling, and you sleep well that night.
Yeah.
Right. After drinking
these are all well over 10% ABV. They don't drink like they are.
Oh yeah.
I think every good brewer, you should be able to hide your alcohol.
So, John, can we talk about this now?
Well, you know what? You just kept talking, so I was about to, break into it there. I just want to point out, it dawned on me that I hadn't switched the avatar over in the top left corner over to the holiday one, so I just clicked it over now. So it now has the wreath behind the lager room, guys.
Oh God, I thought that was hanging on my door. It's like, where did that come from?
Yes, absolutely. Well, I was going to say, speaking of IPAs and speaking of dark beers, let's combine them and talk about this particular beer. So we are drinking it or have drank it so far tonight.
I'm almost done with mine.
Back to those days that were pre-hazy IPA. When you drink this beer, it brings you to a different time and place, right? It's just like
Matt.
Put it up, Matt.
2014, 2015, right?
Brandon.
Yes.
Well, that's
as Matt puts his down.
All 4 of them up. There we go.
There you go.
Yeah, this turned out great. I know this is your favorite style. And I hadn't brewed one in a very long time, and I'm really glad that finally just finding a release day and saying Black Friday that week we need to do this beer. Just push it over.
That's not been done yet.
That was fantastic. That was fantastic. Matt, how many did you and I have that day? Was that maybe 5?
I don't remember.
I had 3.
I think it was 5. I think we had 5.
Yeah,
I got there well after you guys, so I had 3.
Well, we were there from noon to about 5. So I mean,
I got there a beer an hour.
One an hour plus the stout on top.
Plus the stout on top of it.
Yeah. We did eat. We
ate.
And then break like it is down here.
And then afterwards, we might have driven about 25 minutes away and had another black IPA that got released on Black Friday, but we won't talk about that right now. So.
I didn't know we had competition. Maybe
I will bring it up because I congratulated Matt on the beer. that this is a beautiful, beautiful beer. And I think I told John a little later, there may come a time and place where if this continues, I may consider this the best black IPA brewed in New Jersey, but it's got a king to unseat, and you don't unseat that king right away.
Okay.
It's a hard thing to do, but this is, when we talk about that other king, the king of black IPAs that get released on Black Friday, I find this particular beer as much flavor, but eminently more drinkable.
Yeah.
It is smoother.
And again, like what Brendan was talking about before is,
that balance.
For a black IPA, which is a style that is not traditionally very balanced, I feel like this is a very balanced.
And it's contradictory calling it a black IPA. We all know this.
Right. Yeah.
But a black India pale ale.
The idea is to make, simple beers that have a lot of flavor, that are clean and drinkable, and I think we definitely achieved that, because I brought a 4-pack home and I'm going to drink the whole thing. It's going down great. It feels good. It's clean, and it's part of the finish, when you have darker malts or, not roasted malts, but we do have some black malt in here to really amplify the color. There's a fair amount of bitterness in here, but
and it's not all
works in harmony.
A lot of it's from malts, right? Yeah. Not just hops.
And it's not like it's 100 IBU. It's what do we say? 70 IBUs this beer?
Oh yeah, touch under 70. I think I tried to. I knew we were going to get some bitterness from the black malt. So I think it's 6.8 ABV. I think we ran it at like 63 to 65 IBUs.
Okay.
I like to balance bitterness with alcohol.
Okay.
But if I know we're getting bitterness from the black malts, then I'll dial that back a touch, because they're going to kind of supplement. But
sure,
the beer kind of starts with, you expect to get this roasty bitterness, and then you're like, well, wait a minute, is that, it's kind of the hop bitterness that just creeps through, right in the middle and surpasses the malt. So I like to think maybe if you close your eyes and drink this beer, it doesn't drink as black as it is,
No, it doesn't. No.
I also remember when we first had that first sip off the tank, and I put my nose into it, and I was just instantly transported to this brewery in Portland, Oregon in 2005. Like I was that smell and the just the pine with just like the lightest hint of citrus underneath. It was just bam. It was like I was like, yes.
It's so good. And to Dave's point before, we put it, since I don't have an alternate endings glass, you do. I put it in. So yeah. Well, hold on. Keep that up, Brandon. Hold on. I got
it. There we go. I was going to say I just finished mine, unfortunately. So
have the Presidente light.
Yeah. We go get the Presidente light out of
what you gotta do, man.
What I can say is I foresee a day where this on my list will supplant this. I'm just saying.
You know what? I mean, thank you.
I never thought there'd come a day. I thought that that trumps everything right there.
I don't have a clue.
That was the party.
Matt, hold that back up, Matt. Hold that back up 1 minute. Hold that back up.
That that trumps everything right there.
Absolutely.
But I never thought there'd come a day where there might come a black ale that I would possibly like better. I thought Epitome had reached the epitome.
Brendan, when Matt gets back, seriously, I'm not. This isn't a joke. I'm not kidding. When Matt gets back from the Caribbean, the three of us need to go take a trip 25 minutes away from your brewery and hand a can to one particular person and let him crack it open.
You can say his name once.
No, I'm not even going to say
it. Just don't say it thrice.
Right, exactly.
Should we drink a Presidente?
Or he pop up on the podcast.
If you say it's like Beetlejuice. You say it three times, he pops up on the show.
Because the first time he was ever on the show, that's exactly what happened.
No, the second time he was on the show.
Second time he was on the show. Oh yeah, that's right. The unplanned.
No, it's actually the third time he was on the show.
Right, that was when Jesse was on the show, right?
Jesse was on. Yeah, that's a funny story, Brendan. Jesse Ferguson and Borough was on the show. And we started the show. It was probably about 10 minutes, 15 minutes in the show. Augie texts me. He's like, shit, I forgot Jesse was on tonight. Send me the link. I want to pop on. But I didn't say anything to Jesse or Dave on the show.
No, I thought it was because he was in his car flipping through Facebook while driving.
And he heard
Jesse's
Jesse's
voice. Well, he was. Yeah. And that's what
he hears Jesse's voice.
He hears Jesse's voice. So he texts me. He's like, shit, I forgot Jesse was on tonight.
He's like, why do I hear Jesse's voice? Scrolls back, goes, oh, and it's those two jackasses.
Right. Yeah, exactly. But he texts me. He says, I forgot Jesse was on tonight. Send me the link. I want to pop on. So I didn't say anything to Dave or Jesse. And I just sent them the link. And within a 30-second span between, I didn't say a word, between Dave and Jesse, they said Augie 3 times. There, I said it once. That's it, right?
That's it.
That's twice,
right.
Actually.
That's once.
Okay, yeah, don't say it again. Yeah.
Don't say it again.
Don't say it again.
Don't tempt fate. I've already tempted fate by pouring a cane into a carton glass.
Wasn't even meant to be a thing. The third time it was said, he just happened to pop up. And he was on the show.
Like fucking Beetlejuice.
Like Beetlejuice.
Or Bloody Mary, whoever you want to go with there.
So there you go. So that was that. And we did it again last year, actually, with the 2 from 27A Brewing. Yes. Ryan and Melissa.
But the thing is, 27A Brewing, Ryan and Melissa. Ryan, the aforementioned person who will not be mentioned again, is one of Ryan's idols. As a matter of fact, he tries to emulate his beers.
He does a lot of food, related beer styles and stuff like
based
that.
Off of what the Carton Brewing does. So we did ask him, like, this guy kind of idolizes you. Can you pop onto the show? So we waited, and then we said it a third time and popped him onto the show, and it was really good for the kid. He was really, he was like, oh my god.
But here's the thing, though. They had been, and they said it, and they told us on the show too, and before the show, that they had been to Carton Brewing like a dozen times
and never met him.
Never met him. So they met him for the first time on the show last year.
Okay, so John, I opened a 4th beer.
And it was the same as your 3rd beer.
I had to.
There you go.
What do you drink after this? The only thing I could possibly drink after this, and it'll destroy
obviously
me.
A Presidente Light.
Or Presidente Light. I have no Presidente Light.
If I finish this and we're still going, I'm having a Royal Rug. So there you go.
There you go. No, because if I had opened, the only thing in my fridge that I could probably drink after this and still taste would be Boris the Spider. And
no,
I've got to work tomorrow.
You got to work tomorrow. Yeah.
No, for me, this has no taste to begin with.
There you go. Well, you could have gone to the bathroom and just poured yourself a glass of water. I mean,
hey Matt, look at it this way. You're hydrating.
Water right here.
You're rehydrating.
Well, I thought that was the glass of El Presidente.
Oh, beer's 90%, 95% water.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's funny.
It's very light hopped.
So let's talk about head retention.
Nice, very nice. There you go.
Jesus.
Well, and that's a big deal for me too. Not just with the decoction brewing, but it's like you get to a point where you're comfortable making beer. Like, all right, I can make beer, but
if I keep pouring, I can
beer with great foam.
Hold that up a bit, Dave.
Great foam retention. That's tough. So I take a lot of pride in.
This is an ice cream cone. If I keep this going, I could probably get one of the Cosby kids hairdos.
Yeah,
God, that's beautiful.
Well, this beer, you know what? I mean, you and Matt sat down and talked about it. Matt and I talked about it beforehand. You sat down, you worked out the recipe, and then we talked about it afterwards. But this could not have turned out any better than was planned. This came out perfect. It's one of the best beers I've had in this style this year, if you will. All right. And for a lot of other styles, to be honest with you too. Cheers, it came out great. The brew day was amazing too. That was
a lot of fun.
That was a lot of fun that day. But
I always love hanging out with you guys. You guys know that I'm in there fairly often. So
yeah.
And I got to be honest with you, I had a lot of good beer that day too. Obviously, if anybody doesn't know, anybody listening to this on the audio feed or rewatching the show, when you get a couple breweries together doing a collab at one particular brewery, it's also a bottle share. Okay. Right.
And a tank share.
And a tank share. Okay. And we're talking about
I'm pretty
lagers,
sure
right?
we tasted every horizontal.
Yeah, no, we were talking about lagers. You have 4 horizontals and a fooder.
Yes, we have 5 horizontal
5 horizontals
tanks
and a fooder, yeah.
and then a horizontal lagering fooder.
Fooder, yeah.
Yeah, so actually the Schwarzbier, we've got the Plaid and the Goodnight Sweet Prince, those are both lagered 4 to 5 weeks in the fooder.
It's amazing.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah.
And that, that adds a whole other layer of complexity and softness to those beers. And, that's kind of part of the, making these beers in as traditional a method as we can, is really aging them in wood. A little nod maybe to Pilsner or Quell.
Of course.
And just, the amazing things that can happen with clean beer in wood.
Right.
But yeah, there's nothing better than having a brewery full of horizontal tanks, because it's like the brewer has an unlimited number of taps. You can just move that pigtail around all day long.
That's it. And that's exactly what we did that day. It was fantastic. But yeah, no, this was great. And I look forward to many more other experiences just like this too. We will.
As do I.
Right, you're on the.
I look forward to the day when you guys come down to our place.
Absolutely. Well, we've talked about the fact that we want to on opening day. We want to have a few collabs here, definitely on the.
I'd love to be one of the first on tap.
Absolutely.
For opening day,
and then
but,
maybe
I knew it was a style. Sorry.
He was talking about collab glassware, but I knew where he was going. But
maybe that's when.
No, I said I thought this was a good beer because I knew that you guys at Alt Tending hadn't made anything like this before. It was a different style, and I think that's kind of cool too, that you guys can give your customers something different.
Yeah.
Instead of just doing another hazy or something like that, I kind of like the fact that we kind of did something a little bit different.
Yeah. Well, and our customers were really receptive to that too. This beer is moving,
Nice.
And we're in an age of new and limited, and this was the perfect beer for us to produce at this time.
Yes.
Couldn't have worked out any better from the the recipe standpoint, just from a sales perspective. It's
sure. And I talked to Justin a couple of weeks ago, and he said that got a half barrel of it into Blind Tiger in the city. I'm like, I'm trying to get in touch with Catherine. I want to make sure that I get over there when she taps it, because I want to have some of this beer on Bleecker Street in Manhattan.
Yeah, and this was our breakout beer that got us into Blind Tiger. So.
There you go.
Nice. That's pretty cool. Well, I have to say, I love the idea again. Black IPA, Black Friday, Creature from the Black Lagoon, and then you guys killed it with the artwork. This is the
of course.
Yeah.
I do have to shout out John Turner. His hashtag is Boy Burns Barn.
Right.
Check him out. He's a super creative, awesome guy.
Yeah, and this was and we talked about it. This was redone from what it originally was the day of the brew day. That we worked on
yes, we did change the image and made it look a little more classic. Yeah,
and it was a perfect when he came up with that was perfect.
Yeah, it's very close to the original movie poster.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. I've been so happy with pretty much everything with this beer. It's nice when everything works out the way you hope it works out.
I love it when a plan comes together.
I love when a plan comes together.
Exactly. Yeah, pretty much.
Exactly.
Well, I think we're pretty fortunate. We've got a great system over there that really, we have her figured out. So we've got a lot of control over the beer.
Nice.
And that really gives you the confidence to be creative and do new things, because we know that the system will provide,
Yeah. Well, and I know from having talked to you a number of times, I think we think about beer and recipe formulation in a very similar way, and it, that goes a long way to there's not a lot of fluff and stuffing in it. It's just straight to the point of what you want to do.
Yeah. Well, that's what I love about this beer. It's quite obvious that as a collab, you got a couple of recipe writers that got together and who knew what the hell they were doing. Had a beer in mind. They had a result in mind, and they wrote a recipe that delivered that result. This is a beautiful, beautiful beer.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
There's so many things in my fridge I could have gone to follow this, but I was just joking with the one I mentioned, but it was just like when I was there, I am one of those who will keep bouncing around the menu. I did not diverge from this beer the last time I was there. Took one sip of it and like, this is all I'm drinking while I'm here.
Nor did I.
except for Beautiful Friendship.
Except for, well, no, I had Beautiful Friendship while I was drinking this beer. So.
Yes, but I
didn't diverge.
I don't see that.
Well, no, because I drank.
You ordered something that wasn't this. Did you not?
I did, but I had it while I was drinking this. Like I never stopped drinking this, and there was a glass of Beautiful Friendship in front of me. It's a slippery slope, but
yeah, I know what you're trying to do here. I'm not buying it, but go.
Anyway.
I have known you. I'm so used to your rationales.
I know. I get it. All right. You know what? I'm in the mood for? I'm in the mood for our top three.
Matt, is that the name of a beer?
Matt, yeah. Matt, you were not aware of the top three.
I'm not part of it, and I'm probably bouncing out pretty soon because I'm an hour ahead of you guys, and I have to do all my underwater camera building tonight before being on the boat at 7 a.m.
Oh, you're going to be able to do that after a Presidente Light?
I know. Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
Well, he did get the Presidente Light though, so that's the important.
Oh, that'll help. Yes.
Well, Dave, I don't want to get too technical, but I have a vacuum system on my housing, so I know that it's sealed perfectly and all kinds of fancy stuff. So
the Presidente Light.
He's got a vacuum housing.
I seal the camera, and I actually have a vacuum system, so that I know that there's no leaks in it. So when I bring it underwater,
out of it,
it's guaranteed that it won't leak.
The cleanest shot you can get.
Well, or the not flooding electronics you can get.
Exactly.
Which that's a little.
Why is that a bad thing?
Yeah, apparently water
and electronics don't work.
They don't. It's not even just water and electronics. Salt water and electronics.
Salt water and
that's even worse.
It's even worse.
Oh, so we're talking corrosion factors,
right?
Yeah.
Are you bouncing now? Or are you hanging for?
I want to hear what the top threes are. So
sit quietly on the side over there.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll sip my Presidente and enjoy it.
Inquiring minds want to
know exactly. All right. So
make some popcorn while you're at it.
There you go. All right. So tonight's top three list, as it is, and you know what? I would be remiss if I didn't reiterate because I don't say it often anymore. I used to say it all the time. I don't say it often anymore.
Yeah, I was thinking of that today. You used to do this every time we do this.
I would be remiss if I didn't mention that the reason we do a top three list.
And this is very important because it is repeal day.
It's repeal day because Dave and I, when we first started the top three list, we started it before we had guests. So it was just he and I. So it was two top three lists, 3 and 3, 1933, the repeal prohibition. And that's today. Repeal day. So happy repeal day.
And also, if we'd done a top 10.
Also, if we'd done a top 10, it would have taken too long because Dave and I rarely stick to 3 anyway. So
this is true.
It's the idea of top 3.
Exactly. It's top 3-ish. Right.
Ish.
Exactly. So,
Loosely interpreted.
But here's the thing, though. Everything above 3 is an honorable mention. So Dave's actually had 7 honorable mentions before. All right.
Have I gone that far? Wow.
You have. Yeah. No. Usually it's one. Usually
it'll be one tonight.
One honorable mention, and then the top.
He needs an editor.
Well, you know what? He probably has one because he only has one honorable mention. So that's edited. Trust me.
There you go.
So, but tonight's top 3 list is top 3. And if you're paying attention, this isn't going to come as any shock to you. Top 3 favorite movie endings. Top 3 favorite.
Where did this idea come from?
I don't know. I don't know. It's somewhere, maybe. I don't know. But as our guest, Brendan, you have the honor of going first.
Okay, so top 3 movie endings, and I'm not really the movie buff at alternate ending. I've got some great input, but let me. I did a little thinking. I think one of my top 3 was, I don't want to drop M. Night Shyamalan because they're all crazy endings, but when I watched The Village and found out that was like present day, that was pretty fucked up. Like
that was a cool one. Yeah,
that was pretty intense. I think the movie Seven, about
yes.
deadly sins.
Don't open the box.
That is probably one of the most intense endings ever. When it comes to not only his wife, but with the way that it wrapped up the seven deadly sins.
Mhm.
The other top, I can't think of the third necessarily. I could think of things that were great endings. Shawshank Redemption.
Yeah.
Even like. E.T. when man, that dude was dead in the gutter and he made it home. So that was a great ending. Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of these '80s movies, early '90s, they were all just fantastic, films and
feel good endings.
Yeah. So I'm as long as the ending wraps it up real nice and leaves you just in a place you weren't before you started watching the movie. That's a great ending to me. And to be honest, like. I'm living a great alternate ending as we speak.
There you go.
That's
very nice. Very nice. Yes.
All right. All right, Dave, have at it.
Well, my honorable mention actually is in honor of alternate ending, because one of the greatest endings in movie history is this one.
One of the greatest films in movie history.
Right, and that's why it was probably chosen as your anniversary. It is Casablanca, and it is when Bogey turns to, I don't even know what the actor or the character's name was, but it was the gendarme, and said this is the beginning of a beautiful friendship.
Mm-hmm.
To end that movie. There's so many great quotes from that movie, but
so that's one really quick Casablanca story.
No.
When I lived in Africa. I was living in Africa. I had to fly over there. I'd never actually seen the movie Casablanca. And of course, I'm on the planes for like 24 hours or whatever between the two planes. And they had Casablanca. So I'm like, I'm going to watch this movie. I watched the movie and I'm just like, I literally shut the movie off and I'm like, man, it was cool when movies had like plot and character development and like it wasn't just shit blowing up every 2 seconds. Like, that was awesome. That was a movie.
That's a movie. It absolutely is. That's a great movie.
I was like, man, that was cool. We should try doing that again.
Yeah, play it again, Sam.
Every once in a while, a movie like that comes out. Every once in a while, a movie like that comes out.
Instead of like Transformers 46 or Faster and the Furious or
48, right?
I'm with you on that one, Matt. So my top three, and I'm going to go again, John. Is this 2 weeks in a row of going 3, 2, 1?
Yeah, you went 3,
Which
2, 1
is me going 3, 2, 1 is extremely rare. I'm usually all over the map, but I'm gonna go 3, 2, 1. 3. I alluded to it earlier from one of alternate endings and alternate ending. It's not plural. Alternate endings. Apostrophe S.
Apostrophe S. We get it.
Beers. Usual Suspects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
When you finally figure out who Kaiser Sose is, and it's that whole. The genius of that is the Gimp is walking, his foot is turned, all of a sudden it turns straight.
Yeah.
Then you see his hand, he shakes his hand, and his hand's no longer crippled. The beauty of that movie is that the director made every actor, except for Benicio del Toro, believe they were Kaiser Sose, to the point that Gabriel Byrne was pissed off when he found out that he was not Kaiser Sose. And that's to me, that's one of the great endings in movie history. Number 2 is one of those sleeper movies that not a lot of people have seen, and I stress people need to see this movie, Secondhand Lions. And the reason I put that up there is what it did to me emotionally. At the end of this movie, you are crying and you are laughing for the same exact reason. And for a movie to do that to you, that's a powerful storytelling, that's powerful writing. At the very end of it, because this is Michael Caine, this is I forgot the other uncle. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. What's that actor?
Dennis Hopper.
No. He's in that movie, but he's not the one who says the line.
Oh, okay.
At any rate, but the older uncles of Haley Joel Osment and you know, at the end of the movie, if you've never seen the movie, cover your ears right now. Spoiler alert. They die at the end of the movie, but you're crying because they died, but the way they died makes you laugh. And to be able to do that to your audience, I think that's some genius, and I think that's a really, really great ending to be able to do something like that.
Sure.
But my number one was the directorial debut of Clint Eastwood, and that's a movie called Unforgiven. It is a Western. And when I first saw the movie, I hated the ending until I understood what they had done. And when you were talking about the movies of the 80s and 90s, I was talking about the feel-good endings. That was kind of a setup to this, because this movie did not end the way you wanted it to end. This movie was a punch to the gut. This movie, you've got an old gunfighter whose wife has reformed him. He's no longer an alcoholic. He's no longer a killer, a cold-blooded killer. And at the end of the movie, his wife's gone now, but at the end of the movie, and there's a beautiful point of this movie. He's already killed everybody, so you know but you can almost understand it because of everything that else had happened. But when he's done killing him, he walks up to the bar, he grabs a shot of whiskey, and he downs it, and you realize he's gone. Mm-hmm. He's right back to that alcoholic, cold-blooded killer that he was. There's no redemption anymore. And that, to me, was a genius frigging ending, because it pulled the rug out from underneath the viewer. So powerful.
The royal rug?
The royal rug.
That rug tied the whole room together, didn't it?
It tied that whole thing there. But so it took me a little bit of thinking to really appreciate what the director had done to the audience in this movie. And even with Unusual Suspects, what the director done to the movie, to the point where is, if you look very carefully at the very end of it, when Chaz Palminteri's character runs out of the police station to try to find Kaiser Sose, there is a police officer in the back on the left side of the screen. That police officer is the director. And he's staring right at the camera and laughing because he knows he just had you. Next time you watch the movie, look for it.
I never noticed that. Now I'm gonna.
He is staring at the camera, laughing his butt off. Oh yeah. Another Easter egg in that movie is the lineup. The lineup was supposed to be very, very serious. It wound up being not serious. The reason being is Benicio del Toro, for 7 takes in a row, keeps farting.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah, he was blowing the whole room up, and nobody could hold a straight face.
And so the director finally, even though he was pissed because it was supposed to be serious, realized these are very hardened criminals. They would not be taking this seriously at all. So them laughing really makes all the sense in the world. And he kept one of the takes where they're just laughing too damn hard because Benicio blew off again.
Anyway,
John, on to you.
All right. Well, I'm gonna move a little bit around because Usual Suspects was kind of involved in there, but I won't use that. No big deal though. I'll give you an honorable mention first, or two actually. Rocky.
Did you not see it coming though?
Yeah, but it wasn't like if he won in Rocky 1, not Rocky 2 or whatever, right, or 3 or 4 or 5, the fact or 9 or 12 or 130, he lost, right? Yeah. But what he did at the end, like he went the distance. He did what he wanted to do. He was actually, he went from, fighting Spider or whatever the hell in the beginning, whatever,
and meat on hooks.
Right, exactly. So yeah, so that's that whole thing that's definitely one, and I'll even give an honorable mention to honestly to Sixth Sense. That was
Sixth Sense is the ultimate.
Well, yeah, M. Night Shyamalan. Really, you could mention so many of his films.
Many of his films, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, nobody knew he was.
But you know what? If you think about it, right? If you go back to the beginning of the movie and you're like, how did we not realize that?
But that's the thing. There are so many movies that you watch twice.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's one of those, because when you finally realize what the twist is, you go back to see if they ever fucked up.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
It's
the same thing with Usual Suspects. You watch it again because now you're in the know to see what happened. And again, the beauty of that movie is anything that you watched real?
Right.
Was there anything other than the Gimp sitting there being interviewed by the cops? Is any part of that movie actually real? John.
Okay. All right. I was just letting you go. There we go. All right. So my top 3. Number 3, Planet of the Apes.
Yeah. Well,
you did it, you bastard.
I mean, when they realize that where they are at the end of the movie, like
that's
what
a great
actually,
ending.
That's you can't really beat that. Obviously, I'm not going to go into detail. You know the movie, right? Okay. My number 2.
But prior to that, he kisses Zaya.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a nice little portion of the ending.
It's nice. It's nice. But just the fact that they realize,
humanity has killed itself.
Humanity killed itself. Right. Exactly. Number 2, Brendan mentioned it before, Shawshank Redemption. One of my favorite movies of all time. It's one of those movies where it doesn't matter what point in the movie it's on. If I'm, flipping around the channels and it's on, I don't care if there's 15 minutes left in it. It stays on until it's over.
Red was here.
Right. No.
Brooks was here.
So was Red.
Was Red. That's right.
Right. And then my number 1, and call me softy, call me, whatever you want to call me. My number 1 ending to a movie, Field of Dreams.
Ah, yeah.
I'm not crying. Are you crying?
I'm not crying. You're crying. Plays catch with his father. How much more perfect of an ending can that be?
And the thing is, that movie becomes much more poignant.
I'm sorry, anybody that hasn't seen the movie that wanted to.
Yeah, but
right. It is 35 years old, so you might have wanted to watch it already, but
that movie's a lot more poignant when you are a father.
Right. This is true.
Right, because that's when you get the feels.
Absolutely, 100%. I'm gonna go. I thought about this before. I was originally thinking about doing like some holiday movies.
When I came up with the idea to do this, I was going to say one should be a holiday.
So I'm going to give you a 3. I'm going to give you my top 3 holiday movie list.
Before you do the,
I'm not going to talk about them. I'm just going to say them.
Before you do that, I'm going to give you one more honorable mention.
Oh Jesus!
Because this is what I thought. Blade Runner.
Blade Runner. After everyone dies.
Blade Runner. Because the beautiful thing about the ending of Blade Runner is Rutger Hauer. What he does at the end of the movie was not what the writing or the director had deemed. A lot of what Rutger Hauer does in this movie, he ad-libs. The whole Tears in the Rain speech, that's entirely ad-libbed. Mm-hmm. And then finally, Time to Die.
Yeah.
It's reminiscent, again, of Shakespeare, where Shakespeare at the end of one of the King movies, I can't remember, King plays, I think it's Richard III.
Probably.
No, it's one of the British kings, where the very last line of the play is, he dies. And that's the end of the play. And Rutger Hauer had done enough Shakespeare to have...
Charles V?
Or Richard III. It's one of the two, I think. And Rutger Hauer did enough Shakespeare to have known this. And so his last line is, time to die. And that's a beautiful... And that's not... The only reason I didn't put that in my top 3 is because that's actually not the ending of the movie. It's just the ending of that character. But... So your top 3 Christmas movie endings, John?
Not Christmas, holiday. Well, holiday. It's Christmas to a point You'll understand why I call it holiday. In a
Because you got planes, trains, and automobiles in there.
minute. You shut up and let me fucking talk about it. All right.
Because that's a beautiful ending. That I cried.
Can I say it? It's my list. Do yours in a minute. You pain in
I'm
the
not
ass.
doing my. You didn't tell me to do a list.
Anyway, no, I'm going to do
Right, guys,
three.
before you do that, I'm going to bounce. Good to see you guys, Brendan.
Matt can't stand to see his daddy's fight.
No, I gotta get. It's almost 10 here, and I gotta get some stuff going. So
you got a vacuum to seal.
Listen, tell every tiger shark you swim with tomorrow that we said hi.
Will do.
Even some of the
I'll give them all a high five for you.
lemon
And
sharks,
the jaguar
whatever,
shark. Yeah,
Yep,
when you
jaguar.
see
We're
that.
searching for jaguar sharks tomorrow. Don't worry.
Are you?
So
Hey, you really should have brought an Amity with you.
yeah,
Just saying.
An Amity.
that's not the Caribbean though.
That's not the.
That's more.
It's
of a
not
New
the Caribbean,
England
but it's still sharks.
thing. Yeah,
And it's
there's
still
not many white
ending,
sharks
so-
down here though.
All right.
This isn't really white shark territory.
No, not so much. Not so much. Just let them know we said hi.
Will do.
All right.
Anyway,
And
guys,
we'll,
pleasure,
right.
Brendan.
Enjoy.
Awesome, love it. Thank you.
Dude, it was a pleasure.
Kicking
Awesome.
butt, taking names, and I'll be in there again to have some beer. I'm sure before the holidays. So,
Dude, come in anytime you want. Yeah, I look forward to brewing a beer at your place.
Absolutely.
awesome. All right, guys.
You
Have
got
a good night and
Um,
good luck with your holiday list.
Yeah. Thank you.
Cheers, Matt.
All right.
If I let him finish.
If he lets me finish.
Cheers from the Presidente.
Cheers to your Presidente. Exactly.
Later.
Ciao. All right. So my number
Elvis has left the building.
was just left the building. Exactly. That was you couldn't have been more perfect with that one. My number 3, Scrooged.
Mm.
Yeah, great. Bill Murray, come on.
The world, Claire,
The world. Yeah, just and it wasn't look, everybody knew that he was going to have an epiphany and everything and so forth.
What was a Christmas carol retold?
It's a Christmas carol, right? Exactly. But just the way they did it, just how it all worked out. And the kid too.
Yep.
Blesseth
everyone.
Exactly.
And one of my favorite quotes comes from that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Bitch hit me with a toaster.
Yeah, really. Yeah, exactly. And when he says to his brother it was the minnow that they were on, how the hell did he know that they were doing that before? So that was perfect. My number 2, Trading Places. I wore the shirt for it. Okay.
There you go.
Duke and Duke Commodities Brokers right there. Okay.
It's like, do we want lobster or do we want crab?
What's that?
Have both.
Have both. Yeah. Well, it's not so much that. It's what happened at
how they screwed them.
How they screwed him back. It's
but your brother's having a heart attack. Fuck him.
Fuck him. And then I love the fact that Eddie Murphy reprised the two of them in Coming to America.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
When they were bums, lady,
Bums
he had
on the
the money. It was great. But the number 1, and Dave screwed it up for me. Yes, it's Plane Trains.
I didn't screw it up for you.
Plane Trains and Automobiles. The fact that first of all, one of my favorite holiday movies, period. Christmas, Thanksgiving, whatever, holiday movies, period. But the fact that Steve Martin figured out what was going on with John Candy, and he went back and got him and brings him home with him. That was fantastic. So there you go. That's my top 3. So you guys have one each. You don't have to do a list. Favorite holiday movie
For holiday movies. It'd be nice if you told us ahead of time. John.
I was thinking about it. I made my top 3 list first. Just regular movie endings. And then I thought about it real close to start time. I was just thinking about it, but I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
If you don't have one, you don't have one. That's fine. I mean, that's why I feel like not top 3, just your favorite holiday movie. Whatever it is.
Well, the thing is, you got to go with the endings.
Well, I would imagine that your favorite holiday movie has your favorite holiday movie ending. That's why I'm asking.
Well,
More pressure.
You know what? My favorite holiday movie is this, but the ending sucked. So my favorite holiday movie ending is.
Well, that's the thing. There's some of my favorite ending on. The thing is, I'm trying to type something at the same time, so I'm confusing the two. But my favorite holiday movies, I don't know, would be my favorite endings. They're just great. because the end of Elf is a little campy.
It's very campy, but the whole movie's campy. So with that,
Yeah, so there's that. But maybe Miracle on 34th Street, when at the end, they're still not convinced, but his walking stick's next to the fireplace. It lets you know that, that was Santa.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful movie. And I think it's got one of those endings that just I don't know that's powerful enough to take your breath away like some of the other ones we mentioned. But I still think this is the time when movies were, as Matt said, they had plots.
Of course, exactly.
Yeah.
Things aren't blowing up.
Brendan, you have one?
Man, that's tough to compete with. I don't know if I have a favorite holiday movie ending.
And most people will sit here and listen and say that it's A Wonderful Life, right?
Right, It's a Wonderful Life, right?
Yeah,
I'll throw 9 words out there for a holiday movie ending, and it wasn't on my list of my 3. All right, but I'll throw it out there anyway. 9 words.
Mm-hmm.
Fa ra 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 ra.
That is a great ending.
That's
one of the great holiday movies.
And unforgettable, for the holidays too.
Actually went to the house in Cleveland that it was filmed in.
If you want to know more about that Bourdain when he goes to Cleveland, they talk about that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And
we went there about 4.5, almost 5 years ago. We went out there. We were out there, and this kid, 22-year-old kid, was given a tour. Clearly, he wasn't even born when the movie came out, right? But he's given a tour. But he's doing great, right? And he's asking these questions that he doesn't expect anybody to know the answer to, or very few. Maybe he knows. I'm answering everything. After the 5th answer I give him, he goes, "Do you want to give the tour?" I'm like, "No, you're doing great. Go for it." Like, anyway. Don't worry about it if you got.
I don't know. I could think of some, our standards for holiday films, and you guys have touched on most of them.
Right.
I always like the holiday movies that don't promote themselves as holiday movies. Gremlins or Die Hard.
Oh, now Die Hard. Now that's a great ending for a holiday movie. And if we had done top 3 movie endings, and one of them had to be holiday, Die Hard would have been mine, because there's that scene right at the end where Bonnie Bedelia decks the reporter,
mm-hmm.
and then they get into the limo and start making out. And that limo driver. How great was that limo driver?
Well, they're married. Can you call it making out when they're married, though? I mean,
Yes, only because they were
separated.
Separated.
Yeah.
Estranged.
Yeah.
I don't care what Bruce Willis, and I feel bad for what he's going through right now, but I don't care what he says. Die Hard is
a Christmas
movie.
And Brendan, thank you so much for acknowledging the fact that is a holiday movie.
Exactly. All right. I got one question that I wanted to. I was trying to find the right time to bring it up before. I don't know, Brendan. I don't know if you follow on Instagram, Pints and Panels.
I've actually met him at Fox Farm a couple of years ago. Yeah, so I've met him.
She put up about a week ago, last week sometime. She put up this graphic, and I'm giving her credit, and I'm actually going to message her afterwards because I thought about it afterwards. But I'll message her later and say we used it on the show. But and put up this graphic, and I want both of and I mean, Dave knows. Brendan, you could probably figure it out already from things I've said on the show. But I want your answers to this. She put up this about a week ago. It was one IPA has to go. Celebration, Two Hearted, Julius, or Piney the Elder. I will hold mine till last, and I will place it up. Hold on, let me write it. So that I can put it up as a banner. As soon as it's ready. So I'm not just saying it. Okay,
I know mine. I'm just trying to rationalize it when we get to it.
All right. So Brendan, What's the one of those? Celebration?
Yeah, I think I hinted to, preferring the bitterness in my IPAs, so I would have to say Julius goes.
Julius goes.
I do, admire what Treehouse has done.
Sure.
From a business perspective, but just the hazies, they're not my thing. So Julius goes.
Julius goes. Dave, and my hands are here, so I'm not typing. I'll put it up afterwards. Dave.
Pliny is history.
Sure.
It's U.S. beer history. It is one of the greatest beers that's ever been brewed in this country, so that can't go.
Nope.
Celebration, the balls to call an IPA a holiday beer is everything. And so Celebration stays.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to disagree with Brendan because I do like the juicies. And Julius is my favorite beer that Treehouse has ever produced. I absolutely love it. And the only reason it gets the nod over Two Hearted is not in my preferred hop profile.
Oh, the Centennial.
I'm not a fan of Centennial. And that's the whole thing about IPAs is everyone has a preferred hop profile. Some like the dank. Some like the dank to the point of cat piss. Some like the citrus, like me.
But you like cat piss. You like you like.
No. I appreciate it.
You appreciate it.
I appreciate it. I understand why someone has gone to that point.
Right.
And Jesse Garrity was a huge fan of cat piss beers.
I'm glad you said beers because that would have taken out of context.
Jesse
Garrity was a huge fan of cat piss.
Yeah, it's like old Simcoe, back when Simcoe first came out.
Right. That's it. What we talk about all the time, the best Simcoe beer, one of the best Simcoe beers either Dave or I have had was Weyerbacher Double Simcoe. And that was a glass of cat piss.
However, I loved it with the cork and cage because it was bottle condition and it changed the beer.
Absolutely, 100%, the cork.
And interestingly enough, you were talking earlier about the first brewery you ever visited. Weyerbacher is very possible the first brewery I ever visited. I can't remember. And when I visited it, I had Double Simcoe in both on tap and out of the bottle, right. Out of that cork and cage. Yeah. So no, Bell's Two Hearted is what I would have to. I so understand the quality of this beer. Bell's does not produce anything bad. Correct. This is just a personal preference. This is just a palate.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Right. So that's for me. That's what goes. Just like with Brendan. Julius is an absolute beautiful beer, but I get the fact that if you don't like the juice bombs, you're going to knock that one off the list.
Yeah.
The other two will never come off the list. I think the argument is always between those two middle beers.
All right, mine.
I know it's not Celebration.
It's not. It's certainly not Celebration. I mean, if I had to pick one of two beers between Celebration and Pliny the Elder, it's Celebration. Yes. That's how much I love Celebration. So.
Yeah. I would agree with you there too. Right. Honestly, I always like Blind Pig more than Celebration.
I like Blind Pig more than Pliny the Elder too. Yeah.
So that's just me.
What the hell are you doing, Dave?
I'm trying to find another beer to drink. Okay, there it is. Okay.
Because in honor of what you just put up here, John.
You have a celebration. There you go. All right. Okay. They're downstairs in the fridge. I don't have one with me. I should always have one with me in every show.
My fridge is right there. You need your fridge right there, and you need a patch cord long enough to get out there.
There you go. So Celebration. Pliny the Elder clearly doesn't go anywhere. As Dave said, it comes down to Two Hearted and Julius. Now,
because you can't.
I do appreciate hazies. I do. But I'm old school. Okay, I'm old school, and I do like Centennial. All right, so right there, Julius. There's mine. Two Hearted. I'm going with Two Hearted any day over Julius. If it came down to those two beers, it's Two Hearted. It really. I mean, let's face it. That beer made Bell's what Bell's is.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's one of the beers that put Michigan on the map.
Yeah.
Right. And the things, so our differences in choices, I'm not at all mad at. I fully understand that. It's just a matter of preference. It's a matter of palate.
You're really gonna make me have another beer that you open that now. Okay? So
Yeah,
I'm having a Royal Rug. There you go. So.
Okay, so you're on your fourth. I just hit my.
Well, you know what? I'm gonna let Brendan decide. I brought these up. I kept them cold, but I brought both of these up for the show just in case it went long. Do I have Royal Rug or do I have Feed Me? I can have either.
What was your last beer?
My last beer was the Black IPA. Was beer for the Black Lagoon. So I could stay IPA or I could
you're not going to taste Royal Rug.
Well, I'm not going to taste the first 5 minutes of it.
Palate.
I'm thinking of cleaning my palate is what I'm thinking.
I think if it were me, I would clean my palate with Rug. I think the character from Black Lagoon would compete with Feed Me.
Yeah.
So I would go Royal Rug.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking about. That's what I'm doing right now. But yeah, no, I'm totally about that. But I do want to mention this one thing, and I'm gonna get in touch with Em and let her know I used her graphic on the show. But I do want to point out one thing. She gave hers out of those 4.
What was hers?
Hers? What are you drinking, Dave?
She took Celebration off?
She took Celebration off.
Oh, so she's not one of your favorite human beings. I
would expect them to take like Pliny off and just say, that beer, it's overrated or something like that.
Right.
It's interesting because my brother once went to Minneapolis, and anytime that he travels, I'm going to blow this whole story by having a bad memory right now because I've drank a little bit of beer.
A little bit?
Yeah, so he goes to Minneapolis, and he's like, well, where do I need to go when I go here? And I was like, you really need to go to Surly. He's like, well, I just had a Surly IPA down in the lobby, and it wasn't really that good. I'm like, well, you had Furious. And I would agree with you that it's really not that good.
It's drinkable, but it's pedestrian.
It's very pedestrian. I said, you need to go to the brewery, and if they have abrasive on tap, you need to grab that. So he takes a chance, and I said, and even so, even if they don't have abrasive on tap.
I have told his brother, by the way, that the reason Dave likes abrasive is because he is.
Yes, there's that. So I said, but even if they don't have abrasive on tap, just the visit to Surly's location, the tap room, is an experience. So he goes. He sends me a picture of a beer. They had abrasive on tap. And he says to me, he goes, I think this is a better beer than Pliny. Is this sacrilege? I said, no, that might actually be accurate, but just don't ever say that out loud to anybody.
No. Right.
Pliny it's one of those, it's like heady. It's one of those beers where it has its place in American brew history. At the time they came out, these beers were so important. They were so phenomenal, but there's so many beers that have since surpassed them.
Sure. Well, they paved the way for these beers.
They
absolutely.
Did. And you need to honor them. If somebody gives me a bottle of Pliny now, Elder, obviously. And by the way, fun fact, I've never once had younger.
Neither have I.
Ever.
Really?
Nope.
I've never had it.
Nope. I've been in a couple of bars in Denver during JBF that had it tapped. And it kicked before I was able to get any, or just in Denver in general. But
you can go to Philly and get it.
You can't get younger. You can't get younger in Philly.
Monks
once in a blue moon.
One day out of
not even 1 day a year. 1 day every 2 or 3 years.
1 4-hour period.
Yeah, I've never had younger. But Elder, if somebody gives me a bottle of Elder, or I get a bottle of Elder, I open, and all I want to do is smell it. It's just that reminiscence of days gone by. Like that.
I agree with Brendan though. I think Blind Pig is better.
I said that too before. I like Blind Pig better than
just like Hetty. I think Focal Banger's the better beer.
I agree with you.
I'll agree with you too.
Of those two, Focal Banger's better. Mine, Crusher is better.
Crusher's the better of the three, yes. But those are the two that they really rest their laurels on, is Hetty and Focal.
Right.
I think I also like the graphic on the Focal can better.
The graphic on the Focal can is better than Hetty.
But the Hetty,
they just had their anniversary the other day too. Was it 20, right? 20 years?
Yeah.
Optimus.
Just 20 years. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
A couple days ago. Yeah.
That was yesterday, I think.
Yesterday.
It was yesterday.
Yeah.
But Focal has that historic graphic of the guy and his head's exploding, and it's one of the best known can arts, in the country.
Oh hell yeah, absolutely.
So you got to give them that.
Mm-hmm.
You honor these beers,
right?
They are great beers, and like Brendan said, they paved the way for so many beers. The East Coast IPA was born out of Hetty.
Yes, it was.
Actually, no, it was born out of Flower Power. You don't get Hetty without Flower Power, I don't think.
I mean that's a line to cross.
That is.
But, I mean, I get it where you're going, but I think Hetty had a lot more to do with it than Flower Power did. Maybe Flower Power was the incipient stage, if you will, of the
So Flower Power
Genesis.
Flower Power, Hetty.
I love how you're like this. Flower Power.
Flower Power. But then from Flower Power, there's one line to Hetty, and then from Hetty, there's 1,000 lines.
1 million. Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, I guess you have a point. But
it's at the top of my head.
Well, that's true. Yeah. But yeah, so I got to talk to M. Taking Celebration out. What are you talking about, M? Seriously.
Please don't make it that we're not allowed at Fox Farm.
No, it's fine.
Because I love Fox Farm.
Of course.
Oh God, I love Fox Farm.
I say it in jest. Everybody has their own palate. Just because I drink 2 or 3 cases of Celebration in this time of year.
Don't ruin this for us. Just don't get into an argument and make it so we can't go. Because I've been to Fox Farm once. It was during COVID.
I will never do that.
It was during COVID. It was the time when you just drove up, you showed them your phone, popped your trunk, and they put the beer in the back. You couldn't drink in the brewery. I need to get back there to drink in the brewery because who does it better than Fox Farm? Oh my God, they're such a great brewery.
Right. So, anyway, all right. So, Brendan, what's
one year, John? We need to do Lager Day at Fox Farm.
No, we should do Lager Day at Fox Farm. Clearly, you and I know where we're doing it next year.
I think we need to do Fox Farm next year.
Well, yeah. So,
or the next time that Lager Day falls on a weekend. God, we should have done it this year.
We should have, but I wouldn't have been able to. But
really, a gender reveal party?
No. The gender reveal party is Saturday.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. No, it's the friends and neighbors progressive, and they've been planning it. The women have been planning it since August. I have no say.
Yes.
But I enjoy it. It's a great day. I love it. I do. So in any event, we will be doing the live thing from Wild Air.
And hopefully we can get Freshie on air with us.
I'll text him tomorrow to make sure that he goes over there at noon so we can do it, and then I can bounce out here because I gotta be in Shark River at 1. So
wait a second. I've got to find out, is Manchester United playing Sunday, or
there you go. Saturday? Well, you can watch part of it at the brewery anyway. So, all right, Brendan, what's coming up on the horizon for alternate ending?
They play tomorrow. What the hell? They play Saturday, so we're good.
On the horizon, we have a dark Mexican lager, so an El Guapo variant that'll be dropping soon. Another release of our Foeder Lagered Helles, the Willie's Gold. And we have another collab that we're dropping that's with a brewery. It's Brewer Tank Busters in Poland that we brewed a collab IPA. It's got 40% wheat and oats, and we use a really great new hop. that's from here in the States. So it's called Luminosa from what is the? I'm drawing a blank. I've had too many beers. The hop farm is called. I can't think of it off the top of my head, but yeah, they're the
Indie hops.
Strata Indie hops.
Indie.
They breed Strata and Luminosa. It's a fantastic hops. We use Luminosa.
So what style of Polish beer is this?
Oh, it's an IPA.
Polish IPA.
It's a Polish IPA,
but brewed.
So it's misspelt and no.
Yeah,
I'm Polish. I can get away with making fun of it.
But we met
IPA-SKI. IPA-ski.
We met these brewers when we were in Prague last year, representing with Wild East at Prague Beer Festival.
Nice.
And they tasted a few of our IPAs, and we're really excited about, working with a brewery from the U.S. So this kind of came to fruition. And that being said, we're going to be pouring at Prague Beer Festival also here in April.
What dates?
Dates?
What date? Because I'm going to be in Prague in April.
I think we are pouring. Prague Beer Festival is the third weekend in April. No, I'm sorry. It's the second weekend in April. And then a week later, we're pouring at a beer festival in Edinburgh.
Oh, nice.
So we're going from Prague to Germany to Scotland. So that's kind of on the horizon for alternate ending.
You're going from Prague to Germany to Scotland. Dave's going from Germany to Prague to home. So
and the weekend that Prague
now he wants to switch his reservations up.
Damn it! Because I'm flying into Munich on the 12th, and the Prague Beer Festival is going to be the 13th and 14th.
Yes.
And I am flying out of Prague on the 20th. Damn it, I'm not going to be there. I wish I had known this beforehand. I would have reversed that. Damn it.
So wait, when are you coming back then, Brandon?
I'm sorry?
When are you back from Scotland?
So that's the following weekend. So I'll probably be back the Monday or Tuesday. What is that?
22nd, 23rd.
22nd, 23rd.
I'll be back on the 23rd or so. But Scott and I are going for about, 12, 13 days. And then Steve is one of our brewers is meeting us in Edinburgh to pour at that event. We may have a tap takeover and get some beer to a pub there in Edinburgh.
But the important question is, will you be wearing kilts?
If I might go get fitted for a nice kilt.
There.
Are
you full regimental though?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, I'm a traditional brewer, so I do things, in the traditional.
So go talk to Joe at Manskirt, and he'll be able to guide you.
What I was just going to say is that now, mind you, I would prefer nothing against the Brewers Association, but I would prefer that trip. So I'm just assuming you're not going to Vegas is my point. So
yeah, no. So this year I had a choice between, either the Master Brewers National Conference or CBC, and I chose the NBA National Conference.
To quote another movie, you chose well.
You chose well. Yeah. There you go. So Matt and I will fill you in, but
please. It's going to be a freaking party, man.
What happens in Vegas stays on this podcast. So. Or goes on this podcast. So there you go.
I don't want to know.
Well, I hope you guys make it back safe. It's crazy.
Well, Nashville was fun.
Yeah, no, that was great, especially with all the Swifties there too. It was,
oh my god!
Oh god!
Well, I was going to say to you.
Are the Swifties also Kelseys?
They are.
No, that they weren't then. They weren't together then.
Not then.
Oh, yeah. At the time.
They weren't together then. It was, how bad was that? I mean, no offense to them. They have their thing that was just, for the Swifties to invade the city that we're all invading at the same time.
Oh God.
Anyway,
that was interesting, but that was a blast though.
It was.
Had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Barrique was making some amazing beers.
Oh yeah. Well, and then Barrique, they drop a beer that's called Alternate Ending.
Yeah.
I went to the GM there. I wasn't able to talk to one of the brewers. The guys left before I did, but I told him, I said, "You just wait. We're just going to drop a beer called Barrique." And
Barrique, there you go.
It's on. We'll see. Yeah. Maybe you'll see a Barrique beer on the horizon.
What comes around goes around, comes around. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Anything else? You want to let anybody know events for the rest of the year? Things coming up at the brewery for the holidays?
Things coming up. You know, we've got regular drops. There's a few barrel aged beers to look for over the next couple of months, and putting in a canning line as we speak. So we're going to be ramping up production, doing weekly releases. So
It's all good.
Just keep an eye out. Yeah, things are still growing, and we're fortunate enough to still be one of those breweries that's selling a lot of beer. I'm
Are you
really
screening?
lucky.
You screening Die Hard?
I have to think what's on the schedule
Because
this
it's
year.
not Christmas until Hans Gruber falls from the Nakatomi building.
I know.
There you go.
The first year we were open, we did show Die Hard. I'm not sure what's on the schedule this year, but a lot of trivia nights still, movie nights coming up. So there's always something going on over there.
And hopefully it's better than what Cloverleaf's got coming up. They actually have a Taylor Swift trivia night coming up.
They do.
They do. And it's
Hey, well, you know what? To each their own. If people like that, they're going to get people there. How about it?
And if they're going to buy some beer and hang out and have a good time, then
Ryan is one of the greatest businessmen I've ever met.
There you go.
Booking this, he knows what he's doing.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
I won't be there for it, but that's okay.
That's fine. So anyway, all right. Brendan, stick around. Don't sign off just yet. We'll talk to you when we're once we've signed off. But on that note,
here comes the outro.
On that note, we will wrap the show up for today. We want to thank everybody for watching. And for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thank you for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.lagerroom.com. That's LAGERROOM.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and of course, our YouTube channel. All of them are at The Lager Room. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, which is now X. Would you stop eating while I'm talking?
No.
Your mic picks up everything.
Then mute me.
Twitter, which is now X, and Twitch every Tuesday night around 6:30 p.m. or so Eastern time. And for those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on our audio host, Spreaker, as well as iHeartRadio. iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Odyssey, Audible, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts, TuneIn, Podcast Addicts, Castbox, Deezer, Podchaser, Listen Notes. Pretty much anywhere you can find an audio podcast, you will find the Lager Room Guys Craft Beer Podcast. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds and you will never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. And we will talk to you next week, folks. Take care. Cheers.
cheers.
They found him face down in his waffles, maple syrup dripping from his fake rug. Who did he see when he heard who was there? Now it seems that he shit out of luck.